Ladies and gentlemen, today I have the pleasure of sharing with you an insightful snippet from one of Neville Goddard's profound lectures on the power of the human imagination, specifically focusing on feeling the wish fulfilled. In this excerpt, Neville reveals the transformative potential that lies within each of us when we dare to assume the feeling of our desires already being realized. Listen closely as he recounts personal experiences and timeless principles that demonstrate how our imagination shapes our reality. Allow me to tell you that if you have the courage to embrace the feeling of your wish already being fulfilled, knowing that it is your own wonderful human imagination at work, you will find it to be true. By living in the assumption that your wish is reality, disregarding your senses and the apparent facts of life that contradict it, you will bring it into being in your world. These are the very truths that shape our reality. Consider a man drafted into the military, as I was in 1942, at nearly 38 years old. Many of us likely felt the same reluctance, but I understood a principle that most did not. Though I did not resist the draft and was sent to a camp in Louisiana after 3 months of boot training, I decided to apply this principle to seek an honorable discharge. I requested this discharge based on a Washington regulation, stating that men over 38 before March 1st, 1943, were eligible, though not guaranteed to be released. My commanding officer disapproved my application. This seemed final, but I knew that the power of God, my imagination, could not be overruled. Despite the rejection, I desired to return to my previous work in life. That night, I imagined myself back in my New York City apartment with my wife and young daughter, vividly recreating every detail of our home. I gave this scene the sensory reality it needed to feel true. At 4 a.m., I saw a sheet of paper like the one my commanding officer had signed, but a hand emerged, striking out disapproved and writing approved in bold letters. A voice said, "That which I have done, do nothing." I woke up, fully convinced of the reality of my imagination. 9 days later, without any further action on my part, my commanding officer instructed me to resubmit my application. This time, it was approved, and I was honorably discharged that very day, returning to New York. None of my peers knew what I had done. It was all accomplished through the power of my imagination. My conviction that my imagined act was fact brought it into reality. This principle has worked in countless other instances for me, and can work for anyone who applies it. We are indeed the creators of our realities. You need not take extreme measures or fight against the system. As the voice said, do nothing. It is your inner conviction, your belief, and your imagination that shape your world. As we are told in Scripture, I am, meaning the God within us, is our imagination. We are the temples of the living God, and His Spirit resides in us. Thus, any voice we hear comes from within. In another instance, when I was stranded on an island with no ships available to leave, I used the same principle. Imagining myself on a ship leaving the island, I felt the reality of it, and within 24 hours I was offered passage. I encourage you to believe in God, but recognize that God is your own wonderful human imagination. Reject any other false gods. Use your imagination lovingly on behalf of others and yourself. By doing so, you will become the person you wish to be, fulfilling your dreams without harm to anyone. In Scripture, we see the potter reshaping a marred vessel into a new one, symbolizing our ability to reshape our lives and those around us with our imagination. Do not discard anyone as beyond help. Imagine them and yourself as you wish to be, and believe in this vision. Your imagination is the potter, capable of transforming any situation into one that reflects your desires. Hold a vivid, determinate vision of what you want, and believe it will come to pass in ways beyond your understanding. This principle was evident during my time in the military. I knew I wanted no part of it, but I was drafted nonetheless. Without resistance, I reported to the camp in Louisiana, where I spent 3 months in boot training. At that point, I decided to take action by applying the principle of imagination. I learned of a regulation from Washington stating that men over the age of 38 before March 1st, 1943, were eligible for discharge. It wasn't automatic, but contingent on the approval of their commanding officer. My application was disapproved and signed by my commanding officer. It seemed final, as the decision of the commanding officer was absolute and could not be appealed. Despite this, I knew that if I could assume the feeling of my wish fulfilled, my imagination would bring it into reality. I wanted to be discharged honorably, not just on furlough. So I took the paper that said disapproved and imagined it instead saying approved. That night, I went to bed, and in my mind's eye, I saw my apartment in New York City. I imagined being there with my wife and young daughter, feeling the reality of it all. At 4 a.m., a vivid image appeared before me of a sheet of paper like the one my commanding officer had signed. A hand emerged and changed the word disapproved to approved. A voice said, "That which I have done, do nothing." I woke up knowing my imagination had created a new reality. For 9 days, I did nothing. On the 9th day, my commanding officer called me in, instructed me to resubmit my application, and approved it. I was honorably discharged and returned to New York that same day. None of my peers knew what had transpired. The entire process had unfolded in my imagination and was then manifested into reality. This principle is powerful and works in every aspect of life if applied faithfully. One must simply assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and persist in that assumption, despite the sensory evidence to the contrary. I encourage everyone to use their imagination lovingly and constructively. It costs nothing and harms no one. By doing so, you align with the creative power within you, your imagination, and can bring about the fulfillment of your dreams and desires. The Bible tells us that God's Spirit dwells within us, and that Spirit is our imagination. Just as the potter molds clay into a vessel, we can reshape our lives and the lives of others with our imagination. We are the creators of our reality, and by envisioning the best for ourselves and others, we can transform any situation. When faced with challenges or obstacles, remember the power within you. Use your imagination to see the desired outcome, and believe it into being. This is the true essence of faith, knowing that with God, all things are possible, and that God, as revealed in Scripture, is our imagination, the creative power within us all. In summary, I implore you to recognize the divine power within your own imagination. Exercise it with love and faith, envisioning the best for yourself and others. By doing so, you will fulfill your dreams and realize the profound truth that all things are possible to those who believe. Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to support our channel. May love be with you always.